So happy new year and welcome back to the channel. What we're going to do now is take a quick recap at how 2021 has been on the Marc Guitar YouTube channel. Okay, so what you've just been watching was a clip from a series that I did on The Thrill Is Gone, where I made a number of videos, some Patreon only, some on the main channel, where we looked at all the different parts of The Thrill Is Gone, rhythm, lead, etc. Okay, so 2021 was the biggest year, most busiest year for the Marc Guitar YouTube channel. If we look at just some of the numbers from the past couple of years, in 2019 I released 21 lessons on the main channel and in addition to that, 4 Patreon only lessons as well, or videos just for the Patreons. In 2020 that number rose to 34 on the main channel available to everyone, and 18 just additional videos just for the Patreon supporters. And then in 2021 we've done 44 videos on the Marc Guitar main channel, and in addition to that another 22 just for the Patreons, so 66 videos in total. So my busiest year by far. At the end of 2020, I took a survey to see what people were interested in me teaching next. And the two things that came back overwhelmingly the most popular were, first of all, to teach some actual blues songs, some blues standards. And the second one was improvisation. So we started January with looking at one of these blues standards. We took a look at Born Under a Bad Sign. Now, there were 3 videos that were on the main YouTube channel, available to everyone, and then in addition to that there were another 3 videos just for the Patreon supporters as well. So we looked at the Eric Clapton version, well, not the Cream version featuring Eric Clapton. He's subsequently done a solo version as well, but we looked at the Cream version, we looked at the Albert King version, and we also looked at a few bits and pieces from the Robin Ford version as well, and I might have mentioned a few other versions along the way. So there were 3 lessons on the main channel. In addition to that, on the Patreon channel, there's a couple of play-alongs, so the additional videos to help you practice so you can play along. But also on the Patreon, just for the Patreon only supporters, what I did was I gave a lick-by-lick breakdown of every lick in the Albert King version. That's the original version. Okay, so let's go and take a quick look at that now. Here's a clip taken from the Born Under a Bad Sign series. So after Born Under a Bad Sign, what we then took a look at was improvisation. Now, I'll be honest, I started this thinking it was going to be 1 lesson. Then I thought, well, no, there's too much to cover. I'll stretch it out over 3, beginner, intermediate, and advanced. And then actually all of those got broken down. So there was a series of videos, I think it was like 8 for beginner, and then a few more for intermediate, and then a few more for advanced. There ended up being 19 lessons in total on the main channel, and in addition to that there were 4 additional videos just for the Patreon, so they're available over on the Patreon site. So loads of videos there. And the way I approached this was literally thinking back to before I could improvise at all, when I'd never even improvised, not knowing how to start, where you even begin. When the music starts, you look at the fretboard and you think, where do I even start from? So going right back to that point, thinking about, for people who've either never improvised before, don't know where to start, or maybe have tried and failed and are now wary of doing it and wanting to know where to start. So we started and we looked at just simply playing in time and in tune, and then building that up and then playing more interesting things, all the way through then to being able to play live in front of an audience, being able to play as part of a band, and being able to record as well. So improvising in the studio, making a whole album. So 19 lessons plus, as I say, another 4 on the Patreon only, that take you on that entire journey. Okay, so what I'll show you now is, here is a quick clip of taken from the Improvisation series. We're going to be focusing, as I said, on 3 things. Number 1, tapping our foot and playing those notes on the beat. We're going to be focusing on the root note and giving it a shake when we sit on that root note for a while. Give it a shake, make it sound interesting. That root note's where we're going to spend most of our time. And the other thing that I want you to do is listen to the backing track. I've deliberately put this backing track together so that some bits go louder and some bits go quieter. Okay, so think about, be listening, be in time, but also be thinking about when it's going louder, you want to dig in and play a little bit more. When it's softer, you want to play a little bit less. Let the notes spread out a little bit. 5 things over this backing track. First of all, it's a shuffle. So feeling that a 1, a 2, a 3 beat. That's the first thing, that's key. Remember the last lesson we did? The first thing you got to do is play in time and in tune. Second one is I'm going to be using slides to slide into notes. The third one is I'm going to be using hammer-ons and pull-offs to make the notes sound a little bit more interesting. And the fourth thing is I'm going to be bending notes as well to try and make those sound more bluesy and like a blues player would play. And then the fifth thing that I'm going to be doing in this solo is I'm actually going to be leaving spaces. I'm going to play a little phrase and then take a breather, and then play another phrase and then take a breather, and so on. So the first lick goes like this. Okay, the second lick goes like this. And the third lick goes like this. Okay, so those are my 3 licks. And I've got this blues improvisation in 12-bar blues. I'm going to kick the backing track on now. I don't know what I'm going to play, but I know I'm going to play those 3 licks at some point. I'm going to try and drop them in. Okay, so listen out for them. So here we go. So the Improvisation series took up quite a lot of time, several months that those lessons spanned across the last year. The biggest change then after that was that I upgraded the way I'm doing tab. So for the subsequent lessons, the tab has now improved. Previously, they were just very simple text. I can't read and write music. I can't read and write tab very well. So consequently, the tab was very, very simplistic. It told you where to put your fingers, but that was about it. Not that useful. Because of the investment in the channel from the support of the Patreon supporters and those who contribute through the PayPal tip jar, I now pay somebody to produce the tab for the lessons. So the quality of the tab has improved, and now you get proper full music stave. Now you'll notice if you follow other YouTube channels, most channels would then only make this available for paying subscribers, paying members. I make this available free to all, simply because the aim of this channel is to keep the blues alive, to keep people playing blues, enjoying blues, and I want to get out to the widest audience possible because I want to encourage people to be playing blues and keeping the music alive. So therefore, there's no charge for it. It's all paid for by the generosity of the Patreon supporters and those who contribute through the PayPal tip jar. So a massive thank you for them, because they've actually paid for everything else that goes into the channel as well. But one of the most tangible benefits that everybody gets is now you get much better quality tab. So that was probably one of the biggest changes this year. After the improvisation series, we then went to look at The Thrill Is Gone. You saw the clip earlier. There were, what was that, 5 videos in the series. There was, I did the intro video, the intro solo. I did the rhythm guitar, so rhythm guitar ideas for playing it. BB King doesn't actually play very much rhythm guitar on the original recording. In fact, I don't think he plays any. But if you're playing in a band, you want to play a bit of rhythm guitar when the singer's singing, then I give you some ideas of things that you can try. Starts very easy and gets progressively more complex as we go through. Then I did a breakdown of the main solo, and then finally, just for the Patreon only supporters, there was an additional video which was the outro solo as well. So the whole original BB King track was there in its entirety if you put all these videos together. Okay, so you saw a clip of that on the intro. So then what happened was, during that, I got hit with a copyright strike because my version of that sounded so much like the original. So first of all, I was hit with copyright for when I actually did play the original solos, but then I also, one of the lessons was kind of me playing in the style of BB King and analysing what his note choice and different things. And if you want to sound like BB King without actually just straight copying licks, how you go about that. And I must have done such a good impression because YouTube hit me with a copyright strike. Not a strike, just a copyright warning or something. Anyway, that annoyed me so much, I made a rant video about it where I was basically explaining the difficulty of trying to teach guitar on YouTube, because you can't talk about guitar and music without referencing existing music, and then you get hit with copyright, so it's a bit of a pain. So I did a rant about that as well. So after that, we then moved on to a series of 3 videos, which were all based on the same backing track, just a straight shuffle, 12-bar shuffle in G. And what I did was I took the same backing track and I approached it in 3 different ways. This was taking ideas that I'd brought in the improvisation series and then kind of expanding on them as well. So the first one just stuck to G minor pentatonic. The second one then looked at what we call the BB box, so getting more of that BB King flavor into your playing. And then the third one was quite advanced and it used arpeggios and chord tones as well. So let's go and have a quick look at the clip from that series now. So for that series, the PDF tab was available, and it's in that new format. Same as with the Thriller's Gone, it's in that new, not new format, but the kind of correct format with the stave and everything. Looks very, very nice. So if you want that, same rules as always, just shoot me an email and I will reply with the tab attached. Okay, towards the back end of the year then, I started to make a few one-off lessons. There was a lesson on how to write your own blues licks. So where do ideas to come from to make your own blues licks? There was a solo for Give Me All Your Lovin' by ZZ Top. I put that as a lesson, broke down lick by lick how you play that solo. And I also did one of my, what is my favourite of the acoustic guitar solos that I've written on the Northbound album. It's a song called She Moves. It's my favourite solo on that, so I showed that and taught it, and again, PDF tab was available and things. So let's go take a quick look at that now. As we come out of that then, what I did was I did a short series on looking at the song Tore Down from the Eric Clapton From the Cradle album. Superb album, one of my very, very favourite blues albums, and that's one of my favourite solos. So we looked at the rhythm part and we looked at the solo as well. It's two separate videos, and we broke down Clapton's note choice, his position on the fretboard, how he's playing, technique, all of those kind of things. Really took a deep dive, not only looked at his individual licks to learn the solo, but took a deep dive on how he did that, how he's approaching it. The solo's clearly improvised, so where's his ideas come from, what's he looking at? So if you want to really get that kind of Clapton blues sound from that album, that's a great video to dive into. And again, PDF tab was available. After Tore Down, there was another one-off lesson, and this was 7 essential licks that include bends. So bending is one of the most, if not the most important technique for a blues player. So I came up with a piece that had 12-bar blues, 7 licks, loads and loads of different types of bends in there, not just one bend, but loads of different ways of bending notes. And it had those licks. Most of them, as I say, essential licks, because they're licks that you hear everybody else playing. So really good workout for your bending. And the solo from that we'll play now. That brings us up to the end of the year now, and then after that we had 3 videos in December. We had Essential Music Theory, which was a totally different type of lesson. I put it together. I was using green screen. It was like a slide deck presentation, completely theory based, no playing, but it was, I think it was about 12 minutes of all of the essential music theory that you need to know in order to understand blues. You go through this, you learn it, and then you never have to touch music theory again if you don't want to. However, if you do want to, then actually it's a great jumping off point to get into deeper music theory as well. But if you've ever struggled understanding the theory behind blues and where the chords come from and where the scales and things come from, it covered all of that, as much as you need to know in order to play 12-bar blues in a dominant key or a minor key as well. So we had that. That came with a really in-depth PDF as well. So, and again, if you want a copy of the PDF, although there wasn't music in there, but there was all the scales and chords and stuff, loads of different variations on the chord progressions as well, like from minor key. That was all based in there in that PDF as normal. If you want that, shoot me an email, ask me for the music theory PDF, and I'll send that back. completely free of charge, all paid for by the Patreon supporters and those who contribute through the PayPal tip jar. So we had that, which I'll be honest, that took a lot of effort to put that lesson together. It's just 12 minutes, but there's a lot in there. Okay, so then we also had the complete opposite of that. If you don't want to learn any music theory, if you don't want to learn any scales, if you just want to start playing, where do you start from? And so I gave a lesson solo without scales. So don't bother learning any scales, just learn one simple little pattern on the fretboard, and then you can solo over an entire 12-bar blues. And I demonstrate how to do that. Really, really good shortcut into getting into just playing, improvising, getting into playing your own licks and things, using one very, very simple, easy to learn pattern without the need to learn scales and things. And then finally, right at the end of the year, we had 25,000 subscribers. I actually hit the point where the channel gets 25,000 subscribers, so I put out a video to say thank you to everybody for doing that. And I actually look back at some of my kind of key videos along the way. The very first video I ever did, the first electric blues video I ever did on YouTube, and those kind of things, and talked a bit about the history of the channel as well. So massive year for Marc Guitar YouTube channel. Thank you to everybody who supports through Patreon, everybody who supports through the PayPal tip jar. We've seen massive improvements in the tab, but also in the lighting and the audio quality as well. I hope that you've seen that. We hit 25,000 subscribers. We have more videos than ever before. And given the fact that the tab is now, I have that professionally produced, and I've actually got a whole load of videos in the back catalogue that were in the old style that weren't not very good tab. If there's any of those that you think would really benefit from going back and taking an old lesson and producing the better style tab for, let me know. I'm looking in 2022 to probably take, say, my top 5 lessons or 5 most requested lessons or something, and actually have the tab professionally produced for them, and then put that out as a pack. Again, free of charge, just put it out for people who want that, as make that available. Because as I say, trying to keep the blues alive, trying to just promote the blues and get people playing it. So if there's any of my old videos that you would really, really want the good quality tab for, please let me know in the comments here, or shoot me an email or something, and whichever are the most popular, say 5 videos, I'll pay to have the tab produced for those and make those available. Thank you everybody for watching. Thank you for sticking with me through the year. I hope you made it through the improvisation series. I know there was 19 videos. There's a lot to cover in there. Hope you found it useful. That series for me, particularly when I was learning, if that had been available to me, it would have just made me such a better player so much quicker. As you can tell, I'm quite proud of it. Take care, Happy New Year, and I'll see you in 2022.